What's up, YouTube? It's been a minute. I haven't talked to you guys in a while or made a video for you guys in a while. But I've been pretty busy. I've been mostly waiting on stuff from D23, which was insane. Blew my mind. All the shows that are coming out. I also been waiting on the San Diego Comic Con, which has already passed. Got some great news. It's basically everything. A lot of the stuff that I've been talking about has been confirmed. A lot of the stuff that I've been leading up into these videos, into this MCU announcements. You know what I'm saying? Basically, all the comic books that I've been telling you guys to go out there and pick up. If you guys haven't picked them up, shame on you. If you guys have and been listening to a lot of the stuff, the speculations that's been going around, and watching a lot of my videos and comics that I've been saying that people should invest in, big ups to you guys, because one of the books that I said would be announced and could possibly be a villain in MCU Phase 4 going forward is the appearance of Nightmare from Doctor Strange. That's a book that I recently picked up. I've been going around picking up a lot of those keys, and Doctor Strange keys, picked up the whole collection. Another book that has just been announced that people have been going crazy over is Tomb of Dracula 10. And if you guys know, I'm a huge Tomb of Dracula and Blade fan, so I picked up the whole collection sometime last year. And its book is going crazy. Also, Werewolf by Night 32, a book that I was just looking at like last couple weeks ago at Michigan Comic Con. I had it in my hands. The guy wanted $500 for it. It was very nice condition, like an 8.0, 8.5. Probably a little lower than that, probably 7.5, 7.0, but still, man, I had that book in my hands and I put it down. I should have just freaking bought it, but you can't go back and look at stuff like that. You can't live in regrets. You just have to purchase stuff, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't, then you just gotta let it go, you know, stuff comes and goes. But I am excited, and the reason of this video, I'm getting a little bit off topic. I'll get back into the MCU stuff around the end of the video, after I show you guys this really sick pickups that I've been getting. I recently got my books back from CGC, and I had I had like 3 separate invoices, and I waited for them all to come before I could make this video. So that's why it took a little while for me to make my next video for everybody. And actually, by the time you guys view this video, this would be already recorded, and I'm thinking about making another video which will be based around the hype of the MCU stuff. So you guys be on the lookout for that one. I want to talk a little bit more about the movies that have been announced and the shows that have been announced for Disney Plus, which are freaking amazing. So this is going to be a little longer video than my normal ones that I usually make. So enjoy, and I'm enjoying some whiskey tonight, because I'm really excited about I'm thinking about going to Indiana Comic Con tomorrow and spending the day up there. I'm thinking about going to visit Jim Starlin. I've never met him before, and I'm a huge Warlock fan, huge Thanos Infinity Gauntlet fan. So I'm looking forward to possibly meeting Jim, and thinking about going up there tomorrow at Indiana Comic Con to hang out with my nerd friends up there and see Jim Starlin, and that's one of my favorite conventions. So thinking about doing it. And without further ado, let me get into these books so that I can show you guys my newest pickups. I'm just enjoying some whiskey. Cheers to my viewers if you're watching and drinking and enjoying a good drink. I like to mix my drink. I like Jim Beam, and I mix it with ice and Verner's, which is a big thing here in Detroit. It's basically like I can't remember what it is. Just a ginger ale. I can't remember what the Canadians have their own kind of ginger ale. Canada Dry or something like that. But yeah, it's basically just a ginger ale with ice and Jim Beam. Super tasty. I love this drink. It's my favorite drink. So yeah, without further ado, first books that I want to show you guys. These books are the ones that I had graded at the Michigan Or no, I'm sorry. This the first set of books I got graded at Motor City Comic Con, and that's when I had the Jim Lee experience. I met amazing Jim Lee. He was incredible, making the crowd laugh and giving out free sketches, and it's just amazing time meeting Jim Lee. And I want to also explain to you guys why you should and shouldn't go with third-party CGC representatives. If I had a choice, I would never go with CGC third-party representatives. One, they are it's like a risk you're taking with these guys. You put your trust in their hands, and they can do whatever they want with the books. They could lose them, anything. And I mean, there really isn't any kind of insurance policy or anything with them. So if you give them some expensive books and they lose them, there's nothing CGC can do, because they're a third party and they're not held accountable for third party representative. And basically, I sent them 3 books to go send off to CGC. They were the representatives there for Jim Lee, and they were taking care of that. And it was a freaking bummer that CGC wouldn't they weren't allowed to be there. They weren't there. It was just like Jim Lee only had his third party crew there, and dude, it was just such a bummer, because my books were supposed to be pressed and cleaned, and they weren't. They didn't press them and clean them, and they said they would, and they didn't. And so CGC, I called them and I was like, hey, what's up? My books weren't pressed and cleaned. The company is called Agents of Slabs. Agents of Slabs, they didn't press and clean them, and they were like, yeah, they never sent them in to be pressed and cleaned. Your books are already been graded. So these 3 books that I'm about to show you guys should have been a higher grade and pressed and clean. But it's like, okay, yeah, if I wanted to sell them, I would get more if they were pressed and clean. I know I would have bumped the grade on them, because they were just little things like little dents and stuff on them that could have been pressed out, or maybe dirt on them. And that one of the books should have came back a 9.8, but it didn't. Came back a 9.6. So it's like, you think about those things. Like the grades are something that, if you're paying that much money to get some comic books graded, you want the best possible grade. And it kind of upset me, but you can't cry over spilled milk. And it's like, I wanted these books for my personal collection anyways, because these are some of my favorite Jim Lee covers of all time. And it's like, I didn't really care, you know what I'm saying, because they're going to be in my personal collection anyways. And so that's why I didn't make a big fuss about it. I'm kind of like a chilled guy, and I don't like to make big fusses out of little stupid materialistic stuff like that. So these next 3 books I'm about to show you guys are sick as hell, and some of my personal favorites from Jim Lee. So the first book I want to show you guys is 9.0. It's CGC signed by Jim Lee. Wolverine number 24. This is the first Wolverine cover that Jim Lee did. So this is the first one he did on Wolverine. And it's so sick. You can see he wrote Jim Lee right here in gold letters. It kind of offsets that gold that he's got, around the back. I love that it's got, he's like in Japan or something. He's got all of this, Japanese, he's got the buildings in the background. I've never read this book, but I know he's always looking for Miracle. Is that how you pronounce her name? Moriko or whatever. And he's always looking for her, and he's always going back to Japan, and it's always leading him to be chased by Weapon X. Weapon X is always chasing Wolverine, trying to get their weapon back, their investment. He's basically just always somebody who's always been controlled by Weapon X. The next book that I had, I'll just go in order. The next book I had graded, this is the special collector's edition of X-Men #1, which was the record-setting comic book. This is the this is a comic book that sold the most copies all time. And Jim Lee was amazing. This guy was probably like 19 years old, just fresh out of college. His parents wanted him to be a doctor, and he had other plans. He wanted to be an artist. You know what I'm saying? And he went to college to become an artist, and right away Stan Lee and Marvel picked him up, and this is the first appearance of the Acolytes, and this came back 9.6 white pages. X-Men #1, signed by Jim Lee. Just really freaking sick. It's a connecting cover variant. There's 3 connecting covers. I have them all, and they connect, and they're fighting. You can see right here, you can see a little bit of Magneto's, like his magnetic field that he put up, and that's who they're fighting. It's Magneto in the middle. They're all converging on him, and it's an amazing cover. It's so sick. Another one that I had signed by Jim Lee is the Uncanny X-Men 268. This came back 9.0 white pages, and Captain America Black Widow appearance. So I love this one because it's got Wolverine on the cover again, with Black Widow and your boy Captain America, signed by Jim Lee. Such an awesome cover. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite of the Uncanny X-Men covers as well, because it looks so badass. I'm sorry, this is one of my favorite Jim Lee covers, because he the way he posed these 3. That Sideshow Collectibles even made statues that were reminiscent to that. You had a Cap like this, you got a Wolverine with his claws out like this, and you got a Black Widow who stands up with the gun. It's the same exact pose and stuff. I'm sorry, she don't have a gun. She's just standing like that. Same exact pose, and it's incredible detail. The Sideshow Collectibles one did have a gun though, I believe. So right here, this book right here. So somebody got me this book. This is a funny story. Somebody got me this book, and it was a present, and it actually was at a time when this book was super hot. So I thought the person like overpaid for this book. I was like, man, you kind of overpaid for that book, but it was actually not the case. The guy didn't really show a lot of detail in the pictures. He didn't show a lot of like, I like to take a lot of pictures of everything and not conceal anything from the buyer when I sell my comic books on eBay. And that's what the guy was kind of doing. He kind of like only showed like partially what, especially with these older books, I like to show everything. And I can see if it's a modern book and it's mint, and people can kind of take my word for me knowing the grades. And so like if I say a grade, a lot of my buyers know that I'm a trustworthy seller, and I'm not going to rip you off, especially with the moderns. I'll probably just post one picture of the front and the back, and or just the front, and be like, this is a 9.6, 9.8. I know grading is subjective, but a lot of my buyers trust me. And so like basically back to this book, it was like I didn't really know what the grade was just from the pictures he was sent. So I asked for more pictures. This was a seller from Australia, and he says, I'm telling you, mate, it's a nice book. It's like a 9.0. And so the guy was actually pretty dead on. It came back 9.0. This is Amazing Spider-Man 194, and the first appearance of the Black Cat. A lot of people who know me know that this is my favorite Spider-Man cover of all time. I can't wait for her to come into the MCU. I had this one signed at Michigan Comic Con this one was actually signed in where was this one signed at? I believe this was in Motor City as well. No, was it in Motor? Yeah, I think this one is at Motor City Comic Con as well. I had it signed by Marv Wolfman, and it's just an amazing freaking cover. I got the new Spider-Man label up there. You can see Spider-Man is in the label. It's actually a really pretty book. It came back 9.0, and I'm happy with it. It's so sick. It's one of my, because it was a present. I'll probably will always keep that book and not ever sell it. That'd be a book that will always be in my collection, and I cherish things that people give to me as presents, and so yeah, that's one book that I will keep in my collection. All right, so this next book, it's crazy because this next book was 8.5 CBCS. Iron Fist number 14, first appearance of Sabretooth, was an 8.5 CBCS. They graded it down. It was a white pages. And so I had it reslabbed. I had it reslabbed by CGC. And it came back on 9.6. I'm just joking. No, it didn't come back at 9.6. It came back on 9.0. They bumped it up. But what they did was they took off the white pages. They made it off white to white pages, which I'm happy with. They bumped it down a little bit, but they took the pages, they bumped down the pages a little bit, but they bumped up the grade. This one I had signed by the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Claremont himself, and yup, it's just an incredible first appearance of Sabretooth. This was freaking the animalistic Sabretooth. This was when Sabretooth was badass. And so yeah, these are the comic books that I had graded and from CGC, and I just got them back. So real quick, before I get into these next set of books, I want to go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit more about the X-Men stuff that's going on right now, which is super hype. I am super excited about it. The first 3 issues of Powers of X and House of X, not in that order. It's actually House of X comes first, and then Powers of X comes second, and they kind of they go back and forth. 1's 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You know what I'm saying? They keep going. Every week there is one book being released. This is by Jonathan Hickman, is the writer. Incredible, man. He is amazing. The stuff that he's doing with the X-Men right now. And he has 2 artists who kind of go back and forth. One of them is Pepe Larraz, and the other one is, I can't remember his first name, but I do know his second name is Silva. And these 2 artists, they're incredible. And Hickman, what he's doing with this, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, you haven't read it yet. But what I wanted to explain about this is, what he's doing is he's basically answering a lot of the questions, because especially for me, for like as an X-Men fan, that I've always had, like questions that they never explained, or they just left it out there in the open, and they never got a chance to really get in depth with it and explain it, and little things that X-Men fans are paying, that you would pay attention to, say, oh, okay, I get it. I never knew that was, and it's just like so sick the way he's doing it and the build up on it. It's so sick. One of the little things that I noticed that he did was on the last issue, I believe it was House of X number 3. I think it was House of X number 3. And what he did was he basically explained like how powerful the Blackbird is, the jet that the X-Men fly in. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing is freaking powerful, and he was explaining it in the last issue. Another thing is he's going back and he's taking these characters that he introduced 2 new characters in I think it was the first issue of Powers of X, or Powers of 10, I believe. It's Powers of 10, it's Powers of 10. He released 2 new characters that are sick as heck. One of them looks like Nightcrawler, and he's actually he's a descendant of Nightcrawler, and he's basically like a priest. And another character that he released was kin of Colossus, which is her name's Rasputin, and she has all of these different. She's called a Chimera mutant, and she has all of these different mutants in powers inside of her. She has Laura Kinney. She has Colossus's power. She has, I believe, Ileana Rasputin, her power. Man, she is awesome. And it's this story is incredible. I highly recommend the first 3 issues, like the 3 threes and the two twos of each issues. I know it's kind of hard to explain. Like they release 2 issues, but it's one story. So it'd be House of X 1, then Powers of 10 1, and then they would go back. Then in the next it'll be 1 week that one book, the second week another book, and then it'll go back and forth. And so the first 2 2s and the 3 3s, those are hard to find. Those are low print runs. And they basically explain, Hickman, the way he teased it was, it would be the like single most important scene in X-Men history. And if you guys already seen that scene and read it, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's basically it's Hickman going back and explaining like the untold story. So it's you know already what happened if you read the X-Men. I've read a lot of X-Men, and so it's him taking these characters that you already know and giving them new powers and tying up other stories into this new future. And it's incredible how he's doing that. And it's basically you're getting to see the future of the X-Men in like 100 years. So where are the X-Men gonna be in 100 years? And this explains it. And it's incredible. The villain that they have, he is super mad OP. Basically he is like a super powered sentinel. And it's incredible. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you guys. Go and pick that stuff up. It's super sick. Every week I can't wait to pick it up on Wednesday, New Comic Book Day. Pick it up, I read it, and yeah, I'll probably make, when all this is said and done and I read all the issues, there's 12 issues of each comic. So when the 12 issues are done, woo, I'm excited. And it kind of seemed like it was a short time. So, 12 issues, that'll come and go. But it's actually taking a while for those 12 issues to be done. It's longer than you think. So there's a lot to come, because what he's covered already in these past, like, I think we're on issue 4 of each series of each book. So Powers of X and House of X, we're on issue 4 of each one. And they're covered a lot. And it's every week. It doesn't really leave you on a cliffhanger. It's kind of weird how it leaves you. It leaves you right in the middle of a story, and it just ends. And then the next week, it picks back up. So it's kind of like it doesn't leave and next issue, this. It doesn't do that. It just ends. So you'll see people, like, battling, like, stuff happening in the book, and the next thing you know, it just ends. And you're like, huh? You're flipping through the comic, and you're like, it just ended. And then you just put it down, you know what I'm saying? And next week, pick up the next issue, and they start right back up from where the last one ended. But it's like, it kind of leaves you thinking of all this incredible stuff that Hickman is thinking about and writing, and it's really good stuff. So if that hasn't got you excited the way I've explained it for you, I don't know what is, especially for X-Men fans. It's really great. But I do want to show you guys a couple more books before I wrap this video up. These are just a couple books that I just picked up recently, are pretty kick-ass on my collection. These next couple books I just got on eBay, and I got a good deal on them, so I picked them up. I've been doing a lot of shopping and a lot of selling a lot of my comics on eBay. So I picked up Amazing Spider-Man 238. This book, it's incredible and crazy how hot this book has gotten. Like, it's just going up. I noticed it, like, because when I picked this up, I was like, whoa, this book's like shot up. It's expensive. It's hard to get in like good condition now. If you do, you're gonna pay out the ass for it. It's the first appearance of the Hobgoblin, and he's ripping Spider-Man's costume in half. He's super pissed off at Spider-Man, and he wants his revenge. One thing that is, you can see right here, it's not the nicest copy, but I got it, and it's it's cool. This one it comes with tattoos, and a lot of times the tattoos are missing out of this comic book, and so that's something you have to, like, they're in the back. There's just a little piece of paper, and inside of it they had like some stick-on tattoos, and they're always missing it. And if you're missing the stickers from that comic, it's pretty pricey. Like the price is way different. It's a big difference in price from if it's missing it and if it has them. Another book that's getting super hot right now that I'm starting to notice is the July number 98 issue of Superboy. This is the first appearance of Ultra Boy, and I have this book in super high. It's not super high grade, but it's pretty high grade. It's super nice. I would give this book like an 8.0 to 8.5. It's so nice. Super clean, and I love this cover right here because like they're basically like trading off powers. Superboy can see that he's Superman. Superman uses his X-ray vision and sees that this kid here has superpowers, and his name is Ultra Boy, and it's just this is a key for the Legion of Superheroes. That's I think it's a new series that's coming out, and this book is freaking heating up. I'm seeing copies going for like $100. This is probably worth more, but I just threw it up on my eBay for like I think $100. I've seen like crappier copies selling for like $80, and I had mine up there for $100. It's super nice and clean. This is something that somebody might be buying probably tonight because I just threw it up there. Another book that I have is Strange Tales 126. You guys know I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan, and I've been picking up a lot of these Doctor Strange Ditko covers. And this is a cool one because this is the first appearance of Dormammu. And so, like, this is the first time that Doctor Strange actually went into the realm of, like, the dark dimension that they had in the movie, like, to face off against Dormammu. And it's just a really cool cover. And so I'm excited to have it, part of my Strange Tales collection, Doctor Strange collection. And it's like the way they used to do these is they would first explain the first story. So like Doctor Strange, he wasn't even on a lot of the first covers, the Doctor Strange Tales covers. He would just have a little story in the back, and that's kind of like how this one is, but he is on the cover, so they gave him a little bit of love. But they didn't know what to do with Doctor Strange at that time. They didn't know if he was going to be a big hit or not. So they just kind of threw him in the comic, a little tiny, story in the back of the comics. And this is one of those stories. So this is like, first you'll have the Ben Grimm and, Johnny Storm, their story. It'll be all the way through like the middle. And then you'll notice that it picks up with a new story, the Doctor Strange one, and where he goes into the dark dimension and battles Dormammu. So that's pretty cool. I actually really like this book, and I think that this book actually, now that I'm looking at it, I see that they added a staple. So that's kind of a bummer. I just noticed that they added a staple on this book right here. You can see right here they stapled the cover. It has a staple added to it, so that's a bummer because I think that the bottom staple is missing on this one. So after looking at it, I think that the bottom staple is missing, but oh well. It might be, the cover might be coverless. I mean, it might be like a loose cover, but I don't really care. I'm just happy to have it in my collection, to be honest. So yeah, I got that one. Another one that I have is Fantastic Four 32, The Death of a Hero. This isn't my lowest graded Fantastic Four book. My lowest graded Fantastic Four book, I would say, is my Fantastic Four number 4, which is the first appearance of the Submariner. So, yeah, that book is super hot right now too, man. Like, oh my gosh, like if I've been sitting on that book for a while. I paid $1,200 for that book, I think, or $1,100. This was probably like 3-4 years ago. Well, that book has shot up like $3,200 for a 5.0. I have a 5.0, and when they announce when they announce Submariner in the MCU, that book is gonna go insane. You're not gonna be able to find that book And when you do, if you do want that book, you're probably gonna be paying like somewhere in a range of like $8,000 to $10,000. And I'm not just saying this. I really truly think that's what that book's gonna go for soon. It's just a book that's smoking hot. It's crazy what these books go for. Some of these comics, in in decent grade, especially those older ones. So I would like to real quick to show you guys before I wrap up this video some books that I'm going to be sending off to CGC. And so before I get into these big keys, I would like to, before I send these big keys off to CGC, I would like to show you guys again, and I think I've showed you guys these books before, but if I haven't, I'm going to show them to you again. I don't believe I showed you this copy of my Tomb of Dracula 10, which is it's a higher grade copy. I would say probably in the 8.0 range. And it's a beautiful first appearance of Blade, the Vampire Slayer. Another book that I recently acquired in high grade is the first solo Wolverine #1 by Frank Miller, and Joe Rubinstein was the cover artist for that one. Also, The Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Punisher, which is another gorgeous book in my collection. The Incredible Hulk 271, which is the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon. Hard to find in high grade, especially because it's a white cover and it's always like yellow. I love that book. I can't wait to get that one graded. These are all part of my personal collection. Some of my favorite comics that I have to get graded. Strange Tales 110. The first appearance of Doctor Strange. And this is also the first appearance of the Wizard and Paste Pot Pete. The Ancient One. And the first appearance of Wong. Oh, and also the character that I was just talking about earlier, the first appearance of Nightmare, which is a character that I truly believe will be in Doctor Strange, and that movie is going to be called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's so sick. I can't wait for that movie. Because Scarlet Witch is going to be in it, and I'm a huge Scarlet Witch fan. I love her. She's probably, I consider her to be my lost love, and whenever I run back into her, I'm probably going to marry her, but Vision got to her first, so. But another book that I have is Giant Size X-Men #1. The first appearance of all these kick-ass characters. This book is amazingly in good condition. Everybody who I have shown this book to, it says that has got to be in the high 9s, like a 9.0 or something, or possibly 8.5, but it's just a gorgeous book. I want to get this one graded as soon as possible. It's got that nice clean white cover. Beautiful Giant Size X-Men #1. First appearance of Nightcrawler, Thunderbird, Colossus, Storm. The second appearance of Wolverine, and this is the first time he joined the X-Men. And the only reason why Scott is in this issue is because he is the guy who Professor X had. They sent him to go and basically go with the X-Men to Krakoa, the island of Krakoa, which is basically where all the other X-Men are. They're like trapped on this island of Krakoa, and so Scott was the island let Scott go to go back and gather more mutants, because that's what he wanted to do, was consume mutants, that island. It was like the island was a mutant. And so basically what Professor Xavier said is like, we don't have no more X-Men, so we have to make a new team of X-Men. And that's basically where he did. He went around the world and gathered some mutants and this is the team he came up with. And so this comic book right here, it's incredible. You know what I'm saying? Another person that was in this book that they didn't show was what's his name? The Japanese character. Man, I can't remember his name. His name is Sunfire. I believe Sunfire was his name. First appearance of Sunfire. Yeah, and basically he was just did one mission with the X-Men, and he quit right afterwards. So the next issue, X-Men 94, which is the first team in the title. So it's the new X-Men. This is giant size X-Men, and X-Men 94 is the new X-Men. Sunfire leaves. He's like, screw this superhero X-Men crap. I'm out of here. I'm going back to Japan. So it's a cool book right here. Love that one. A little history on the X-Men. Another book that I want to show everybody that I love, I cherish, because there's two of my beautiful X-Men ladies in this book. The Uncanny X-Men 129, the first appearance of the Hellfire Club. This is the first appearance of Emma Frost, and also Kitty Pryde, young Kitty Pryde. She's probably like 13 years old, and they're fighting over the X-Men. That's why they're slashing up these Hellfire Club goons on the front cover, because they're just trying to have, ice cream. They took Kitty Pryde to have ice cream. If you can see in the background, there's like ice cream parlor like signs and shakes, and this is a classic John Byrne and Terry Austin cover. It's incredible. Basically they're fighting off the goons that Emma Frost sent to try to capture this young girl, which was Kitty Pryde, and they're going to use her and recruit her to become a new member of the Hellfire Club. But the X-Men got to her first, and basically Professor Xavier and Emma Frost were kind of having like mind wars. You know what I'm saying? Like they were reading each other's mind. Like it's a very good issue, and yeah. So those are my books that I wanted to show everybody. Like I said, I pushed this video a little bit past its time, and longer video. I just wanted to let you guys know what I've been up to, the hot stuff to invest in, some comics that I got shipping off to CGC, and some comics that I just received from CGC. So yeah, thank you guys for viewing my video. If you guys enjoyed the content that you've seen, go ahead and give this video a like, and also any comments that you guys have for me, go ahead and be sure to leave those in the comment section. So as always, Joe the Collector, peace, one, I'm out. You guys enjoy your Labor Day weekend. I plan on doing the same. See you guys on the next one.